Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Izan Safisha Bitaungani and I'll be doing the introduction and overview of our group presentation. So our group consists 5 members and they'll be presenting in this video. I will do the introduction now. So our communicative event is called This Saturday or Next. This is because the topic is about three fellow friends scheduling their weekend trip, but they will be dealing with miscommunication. So the setting of this dialogue, this is basically an informal spoken conversation. So this is because it interacts in real time, so it has like quick turn-taking conversation. Okay, so this whole situation it happens in a cafe that involves Fisha, three fellow friends as I mentioned, Fisha, Diana, and Ayn trying to plan their weekend while hanging out. So aside from the main quest or maybe main purpose of this whole video is to schedule is the fellow friends are trying to schedule their weekend trip, but there are also main purpose of this whole video as we directing is to demonstrate challenges of daily conversation among friends, even when it's almost at the risk of being in conflict. Although also, it also reflects how these three friends resolve from being in miscommunicated, to resolve to being friends and laughing in a humor way. Okay, so let me tell you about the tone and style of this whole conversation. So it's basically casual, humorous, and also slightly chaotic because they are discussing about their weekend trip. Obviously, there's gonna be like a miscommunication, overlaps thingy. So, regardless, um, this video includes rising intonation, like as I mentioned, because it's a bit chaotic. There must be a rising intonation that shows, or maybe that reflects on confusion of one of the friends. But either way, um the rising intonation still remains in a friendly banter. Okay, so this is my favorite part. Trying to explain to you guys what is the characteristics of these participants. So as you can see, we have three participants, which is Fisha, Diana, and Ain. As you can see, Fisha, the initiator of the conversation and also the planner of the hiking trip, is an assertive and organized person. Why do I say this? Because she's the one who planned the whole hiking trip. She's like, she knows when her time is free and when her time is not. On the other hand, Diana, she's the reason why the whole conversation became chaotic because she's slightly having an issue with the schedule thing and she's a bit clumsy. You can see why. But regardless, it's not even a big deal. So although she has an issue with it, but she's still responsive and still trying to contribute in trying to make a set of which day that is suitable for their hiking trip. Okay, so Ayn is a peacemaker. She's cool. She doesn't like any chaotic thingy. So she remains composed. While her two friends like lies. Did I not say that? Something like that. So she's like, okay, okay, let's calm down and discuss. Something like that. And also you can see why she's an observant. Or when like the time when an observant and also a listener, of course. So when the time that Diana said that, did I not say that? And then she was like, you did say that because you said that while you were trying to buy a shoe for the hiking trip. That shows that she is an observant and also a listener. She gives her all whenever people trying to say something to her.
Interruption. An interruption is a break or pause that stops something from continuing smoothly. It happens when the normal flow of an activity, process, or communication is suddenly disturbed or delayed. Interruption can come from external sources or unexpected events and usually affect concentration, progress, or communication. There are a lot of interruptions in this dialogue. Let's look at the first situation. When Diana started talking about her weekend plan and say Saturday, I thought we were doing Sunday. I have that thing on. But I interrupt her to ask, wait, are we talking about this Saturday or next Saturday? The second situation is when Fisha says, alright, this is chaos. Let's just open the calendar and but Diana cuts in and say, wait 1 second while checking her phone. These interruptions show how natural completion often overlap, especially when friends are excited or confused.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurul Shakira binti Muhammad Suhaidi, metric number 1441189, and for now, I I will explain to you about overlap in discourse analysis. So what is overlap? Overlap refers to simultaneous speaking by two or more participants in a conversation, regardless of whether it's perceived as an interruption. And overlap often seen as a violation of the one at a time principle, but it can also be collaborative and contribute to the smooth flow of interaction. So basically, overlap happens when two or more people talk at the same time during a conversation, although we only expect people take turn to speak. But we didn't call overlap as a problem actually. Sometimes it might feel like someone is interrupting, but on the other time, it shows that people are in sync or really engaged in the conversation. For example, they might finish each other's sentences or agree loudly at the same time. For more explanation and example, let's take a look on the slide. I already put some of the dialogues that from the video that we watched before. So here there are two parts dialogue from the informal conversation video that we watched before. I put two examples that we can see and understand more about overlap. So here I already highlighted with different colors for you to recognize the different part of the dialogue. So let's take a look on example 1, where the speaker named Ain tries to cut in while Fisha and Diana are still talking. It seems like Ain is trying to calm down the conversation and move the conversation forward, even though Diana isn't quite down, but this overlap signal a shift in the conversation and tries to cut the tension that happens in the conversation. So let's take a look at the next example. Last line from Diana's dialogue. Wait, you never said that. It's actually overlapped with Ain's dialogue that I'm out of the town next weekend. This show that Diana's actually reacting either surprise or frustration towards Ain's sentence. And Diana may start speaking before Ain finishes or even before Ain fully begins her sentence. And before I forgot, actually overlap is a bit similar with turn taking. That's we will look at the next slide. But overlap is more like accidentally misjudging the end of someone's turn and deliberately to interrupt, challenge, or express their emotions.
Miscommunication. You know those moments where you are saying one thing, but somehow everyone's hear something else? Yep, this is what this like is all about. Miscommunication happens when information is misunderstood, unclear, or interpreted differently. It doesn't always mean someone's wrong. It usually just means something wasn't communicated clearly. Let's look at this conversation between Ain, Diana, and Fisha. Notice how things get messy fast, and it all started with one simple question. Alright, here's the first example. Ain asks, are we talking about this Saturday or next Saturday? Seems like a simple question, right? But look what happens. Diana thought she meant next Saturday. Ain meant this Saturday. And Fisha adds her own interpretation based on what day it is now. This shows how even something like this or next can totally confuse people if we are not specific. Now, let's move on to second situation. Ain says, I thought it was at night, but Diana is like, wait, you never say that. And Ain insists she mentioned it last week during a completely different conversation about shoes. Here, we see how connecting past conversation to current plan can cause mix-ups, especially if everyone is not on the same page. And finally, the miscommunication comes full circle. Then the best part, Diana checks her phone and realizes the wedding is actually next Saturday. So after all the back and forth, they were not even talking about the same day. This is a great example of how easily miscommunication can happen, even with something as simple as picking a date or even talking with the people we talk all the time. The solution? Be specific and always double check when plans are made.
Okay, next, turn taking. Turn taking refers to the practice of alternating between speakers in a conversation or discussion. It means that one person speaks while the other listens, and then they switch roles. This helps keep communication organized and respectful, ensuring that everyone has a chance to speak and be heard. As we can see on the slide, uh, the first one who speak is at the beginning of the dialogue. The first one who speak is Fisha, and then Diana, and then Ain, and then they take them. And at the beginning of the dialogue, it was a smooth taking, but at the middle and at the end, they keep on interrupting and overlap each other. Okay. Okay, now we will see some example for turn taking. The first example is when Fisher said, "Alright, so I was thinking we hit the trail on Saturday, maybe around 9." Fisher tried to initiate the topic and take the first turn, and then Diana replied by saying that Saturday. I thought we were doing Sunday. I have that thing on. Diana responded with concern and she began to explain. And then I interrupt them by saying that, wait, are we talking about this Saturday or next Saturday? I texted by interrupting to clarify something important. Okay, as you can see in this turn taking scene, the conversation flows informally among friends. Although each speakers take a turn, there is still some overlap and interruption happen between them. For example, when I interrupt Diana to clarify the meaning of this Saturday, it shows that how turn taking can be spontaneous and dynamic to in everyday conversation. Okay, then the next example is when Fisha said, "Fine, so can we do this Saturday?" Okay, Fisha tried to attempt to return to the original plan after the confusion happened between them. And then Diana replied that I have my cousin's wedding on Saturday. Did I not say that? Diana tried to push back and expressing that she already mentioned that she is unavailable during that time. And then I said, you did, but I thought it was at night. Okay, Ain tried to respond with a soft disagreement and then she tried to seek clarification. Okay, and then Diana said, yeah, but I have to help set up and then there is brunch in the morning and okay, she tried to add more explanation by extending her turn. Okay, in this scene, we can see that turn taking reveals the group's effort to negotiate a decision. Okay, even each participant used their turn to provide input or clarify misunderstanding between them. Okay, Diana takes a longer turn to clarify or justify that she is unavailable during that time. And while Fisha used a shorter question to move the conversation forward. Okay, we can see that this balance of turn show how informal conversation are structured around mutual friends. I know how informal conversation are structured around mutual understanding, even when there's disagreement between them. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to transcribing some scenes from this dialogue based on their context. We can take an example. Ayn says that you always say this Saturday and mean next. It's so confusing. And Fisha says, no, if today's Monday and I say this Saturday, it's this Saturday. What would I mean next? Okay, from this context, we can see that they're miscommunication because you can see from they shared the past memories that maybe Fisha may have had said this Saturday and then it's actually next Saturday, so that's why they got confused. Like especially I got confused as if what if Fisha actually says that it's next Saturday but she's just saying that this Saturday. It's so confusing. It's a matter of time. But then Diana continues to fuel the flame. She said that that's not how most people use it though. Next Saturday means that it's the next one coming up. Okay, from this context, you can see that it's getting a little bit risky to be in conflict. But it's okay, they're still in a friendly banter. Well, things get sorted out all thanks to Ayn. Ayn said that, okay, can we just pick a day without arguing about the calendar? You can see that Ayn is a really peacemaker. She doesn't like any chaotic situation, so she preferred it to be calmed and composed. Okay, from what we analyze, so we basically see that like an overlapping between Diana, Ayn, and Fisha whenever they try to set a date. Okay, for example, when they're trying to set a date on Saturday, but then Diana couldn't because she said that she has cousin's wedding. But then Ayn said that, oh, maybe probably like, isn't it like the night? But then Diana said that, oh, maybe I should help setting up. We can see, I mean, it's understandable because cousin's wedding isn't supposed to be coming just only night. We should help the cousin instead. But yeah, another part is when they try to set the date on Sunday, but then Fisha cannot because she said that she's actually she has she has like a volunteer thing in the afternoon. So it's understandable also because if it's already registered, so yeah, it's compulsory for her to go. Okay. This also adds up when when they're trying to push it to the next weekend, but then Ayn said that she's out of town. So it shows that overlapping that from one to one again.